Welcome into another edition of the Soft Verbal Podcast presented by the College Corner. I'm Neal McCready. Zach Berry here with me as well. We'll be with you for a little bit here this morning. We'll talk about what's next at quarterback for Ole Miss in this recruiting class. We'll talk about the importance of roster building. The McDonald's All-American game is canceled, and Zach is upset about it. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a couple other things as well here with you. If you're joining us in the live stream, thanks for being with us. We'll have this in podcast form to you as well later today. First, I want to tell you about the College Corner. It's your one-stop Rebel Shop. 2 locations in the Jackson area in Ridgeland. The College Corner is next to Fleet Feet, and in Flowood, it's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, it's not a problem. You can visit the College Corner at collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Whether you're tailgating in Oxford or home gating with friends and family, the College Corner has you covered for game day. The largest selection of Rebel gear in central Mississippi. Again, collegecornerstore.com. I'm coming to you from the Clark Ford Studios. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, but I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today, 662-257-1900. Zachary, how are you?
Neal, my body has completely rejected me this week. It has been a tour de force. As you know, you have 3. I would say they're not tiny. I was going to say tiny humans. I have a tiny human, but
they're not
they are. They're petri dishes, if you will, when it comes to germs. And I don't get sick very often, but the little man passed on the cold to me, and then on top of that, the fingers are finally back to normal and went to the gym this week for the first time, and it hurts to pretty much do anything. My body is very achy.
Well, I resumed a running program this week. I'm trying to follow a plan, and Tuesday called for sprints that I did. You ran 10 minutes. And then you did 8 sets of the following. You'd sprint 15 seconds, jog 2 minutes. Sprint 15 seconds, jog 2 minutes. And then you had a cool down at the end.
Yeah.
And I did fine.
Nice.
But I haven't sprinted in a long time, and that made me quite sore. And then on yesterday, the program called for me to run for 50 minutes. Just run at keeping your heart rate down.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I handled it. I told a friend, I just finished, and I was kind of walking cool down. And I said, I'm at this point in my life, I think, where the idea of a running program is appealing because running is the surefire way for me to keep my weight down. And I said, my heart can take the running. My lungs can take the running. My knees and feet and hips can even take the running. My back cannot take the running. And that's becoming the issue for me is as I sit in this chair and experience back pain. And by the way, you're frozen. Can you still hear me? I will take that as a no. I think Zach disappeared. All right, so we're going to – there. Are you back now? There you are.
Yeah, we're back. You got me?
Yeah, you appeared to take the longest drink of a soda in a long time. It was –
It's an iced coffee. It's an iced coffee.
Yeah, it looked like you decided to drink iced coffee for about 30 minutes there. So it wasn't your fault. You just
okay, yeah.
You froze.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
pro tip: hazelnut. It's good.
Oh, hazelnut's great. It's my favorite coffee flavor.
Yeah.
In fact, hazelnut liqueur is great. Hazelnuts and chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Just outstanding. Hazelnut spread on damn near
I'll tell you
everything.
This. Yeah. You mentioned liqueur. I think my next kind of hobby on top of trying to be somewhat of a golfer, I got inspired by this TikTok account called Thirsty Whale. Shout out to him. He's not a bartender. He just kind of picked it up as a hobby, but he makes cocktails, and I actually reached out to him, and he responded and kind of gave me a couple tips. But I think I'm going to start collecting inventory and building my library of of spirits in the house, and he's big on making his own simple syrup. He squeezes his own citrus. He told me to get the book Cocktail Codex.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to start dipping into that and just start slowly adding to my liquor cabinet, just as like a hobby to make some good cocktails at home.
It's one of my favorite things to do, is just start pulling up recipes and making cocktails, and 3-4 of them later, it all tastes pretty good after a while. You know what I mean? So it's fun. It's fun for me. It's one of the things I like to do. I've already I'm ahead of you on that. I'll every once in a while when I go to the liquor store to get wine or whatnot, I'll go over there and buy something random, and then have to come up with recipes to use it. I think Laura gets a little irritated sometimes. How much was that? And you're like, oh, it's, $2 and another $40, but it's okay. Anyway, yeah, it's fun. I bartended in grad school, and I like bartending. Mm-hmm. It's fun. I mean, Jay Tate makes fun of me all the time because I like cocktails and stuff. Jay's you drink bourbon by itself. That's what makes you a man. And I'm a little I'm a little less convinced of that. So anyway, we'll get into a little bit of recruiting. There's not a lot going on, for completely honest with people. It's February the 26th as we tape this, just a little before noon. The news today is going to be Ty Simpson, the quarterback out of Martin, Tennessee. He was an Ole Miss target. It appears that it's down to Clemson and Alabama. I was doing a show with Chris Landry earlier today. Chris thinks it's Alabama. I think you think it's Alabama too. Is that right?
Yeah, so as we know, fluid. Locally, most thought that Sark leaving Tuscaloosa was going to kind of knock Alabama down a peg. Bill O'Brien obviously didn't listen to the haters, and he's done a hell of a job recruiting him. And I think Alabama is going to end up getting him today. Look, Neal, you it's good that Alabama's finally going to get one of these. They've tried so hard for years. But all jokes aside, yeah, Bill O'Brien and Nick Saban, the program, what they've built, how they churn out NFL players, the system is foolproof. I actually saw Zach Barnett of Football Scoop did a piece on this where he kind of said, Kirby Smart left. That's really going to hurt Saban. Nope, didn't. Lane Kiffin left. Like, who's going to call plays? Well, no, he figured it out. And then, Cochran's gone. Like, that's like the yin to his yang. Nope, didn't matter. So it doesn't appear that anything is slowing Saban down. So you can't really fault a kid for wanting to go there and play in that system because it's proven.
Well, they're producing NFL quarterbacks now. I mean, Tua and Mac Jones is late first, early second round quarterback.
Jalen Hurts is
the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, they're
go Birds.
It's amazing what the little engine that could at Alabama has done on the recruiting trail. All right, so as for Ole Miss, I never really believed. I guess I did at one point. I thought Ole Miss was a real player for Ty Simpson, and then it became obvious that maybe the timing of it wasn't ideal, and that's not where he was headed. So I don't want to make this an Arch Manning conversation, though you can't have this conversation without discussing Arch Manning because there's a fandom element out there that says, okay, well, Ole Miss doesn't need to take a quarterback this year because they just signed Luke Altmaier, who everyone knows that Lane Kiffin and Jeff Lebby are super high on, and Arch Manning is just a year away. And I think both you and I think that line of thinking, while I understand it from a fan standpoint, that line of thinking from a program building standpoint is borderline suicidal. It is not the way you build your program. You are not advised to build your program by saying, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to get this one quarterback in Altmaier. We're going to have him, and then we're going to get Manning, and we'll just make that. There are so many pitfalls in that. First, Luke Altmaier is made of flesh and bone, like the rest of us. At least that's the rumor. So what happens if what happens if Luke Altmaier gets hurt? What happens if Luke Altmaier suffers a serious injury that perhaps even alters his football career? What happens if, and I don't think this will happen, but there are no guarantees. What happens if Luke Altmaier is not as good as they thought he was going to be? If he doesn't make the adjustment to the college game as fast as they thought he would make it? What happens if Luke Altmaier is unhappy at Ole Miss? These are things I don't think would happen, but these are things that happen around the country. What happens if Luke Altmaier just isn't having a good experience at the college level and the one-time no transfer penalty is waived and you can transfer someplace for free, and he goes, you know what? I think I'm going to transfer to school X. I don't think any of those things are going to happen. But none of those things, there's no place you can go to the store as Lane Kiffin and Jeff Lebby and buy those assurances. That doesn't exist. My point in this really long-winded comment, and then I'll pass it to you, is the way you win in this league, the way that you become a national power, the way that you become a perennial SEC contender is by roster building every single year. And part of that roster building is that you add a quarterback every single year. You have depth. You build depth, and you build more depth. And then if in a scenario you add Arch Manning and he comes in and sets the world on fire in the first 6 minutes on campus and becomes your starter for 3 years before his meteoric rise to the NFL, super. But even then, you have to continue to recruit behind Arch Manning in the event that you were to get Arch Manning. You've got to continue to recruit. And that's why. So the question is, they're not going to get Ty Simpson. At least it doesn't appear that they are. Who knows? Maybe things change down the road. I sort of doubt it based on things that I've heard. Who's next at quarterback? Because I do think they're going to try to add a quarterback in this class.
Yeah, so and just to follow up what you said, I mean, look, Alabama certainly seems to know what they're doing with recruiting. They signed Jalen Milroe last class. They're going to get Ty Simpson. It's you roster build in numbers. Now, quality certainly over quantity. It's not like you're going to go sign 12 linebackers, but you can't skip a class because, we think we're going to get this dude, because you just don't know. Like, there's so many variables in recruiting, and just variables in general with anything in the world. I mean, we saw it last year and going on right now with COVID. So, you cannot do that. You can't afford to just count on, well, this kid's last name is pretty big, and, we think we can get him. No, like, you just got to keep building. Moving on from Ty Simpson, the two that I posted today on the board, Gavin Wimsatt out of Owensboro, Kentucky, 60th ranked player in the country, put out a top schools list a couple weeks ago. Ole Miss is included. And then Drew, I believe, Aller. Haven't spoken to him yet. 3-star quarterback out of Medina, Ohio. Starting to kind of figuratively, not literally, Neal, figuratively blow up on the recruiting.
Oh, thank goodness, because if he blew up, that's terrible.
Be scary. Ole Miss has offered Michigan, Notre Dame, Kentucky, Iowa State, Penn State. Got a couple Ivy League offers. Washington has offered him as well. A&M. So he's starting to stockpile some Power 5 offers.
A kid who's not going to be a 3-star for long. Those offers tell me that once he starts getting some more film on him, he's jumping up.
Yeah, he's jumped up the rankings at the Pro Style quarterback rankings on Rivals. He's a 5.73 star, so he's on the cusp of being a 4-star. Really good size, 6'5", 220. Watched some of his film the other night. And look, this is kind of the way of quarterback these days, but, Mahomes and Baker Mayfield kind of started it when they were in college, but everybody kind of throwing from these different arm slots, these different launch points. And, for 6'5", 220, he moves around really well. Deep ball's pretty good. I think those are the two they're going to focus on right now. Wimsatt's I posted on the board. He's kind of the known commodity. He's been in the Rivals 100. He was in the initial Rivals 100 when they released that last year, and then they did the 250. He's 60th in the country. Kentucky's kind of the favorite just because the in-state kid. Stoops has done a nice job. Look, I mean, Kentucky's no slouch now. I mean, they recruit well, they win games. I think that he's done a nice job there, and it's appealing for someone to stay close to home and play at Kentucky. But he's got offers from a ton of Power Five. Louisville, Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State, Missouri, Notre Dame, Oregon. He's got a bunch out there. But yeah, I mean, I think I can't remember which national analyst spoke with him. It might have been Adam Gorney. He, just like most offensive recruits are doing, talked about the offense at Ole Miss and how it's impressive and it's fun to watch. They put up a lot of big numbers. So, people say it on the board a lot, and I agree. I don't think Lane Kiffin and Jeff Lebby are going to have too much of an issue recruiting people to this offense.
No, I don't either, and I think you have to go get a quarterback, and they will. I'm not going to be the guy that sits here and tells you I'm watching film. I'm not. I'm not a quarterback evaluator. Lane Kiffin is. Jeff Lebby is. I'll take their word for it over my word, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
When you do see those kind of offers piling up for a kid like Drew Allar, I guess that's how you say his name. Until he corrects us, we'll just go with that.
Yeah.
You know that they're on to something. It's just February. Quarterback recruiting typically heats up in the summer, gets done by the summer. So there's a few months left. The dead period got extended through the end of May. So I think isn't that right? They're targeting like a June 1st. Yeah. At this point, it's targeting like a June 1st start to visits. I've noticed in a lot of your stories that kids are saying more and more. Basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, they're saying, I'm tired of Zoom. Tired of talking on Zoom. I can't make a decision on Zoom. I'm going to wait. The coaches are telling me it's going to open up, so I'm going to wait for it to open up. Then I'm going to take some visits. Then I'll make a decision. I'm very loosely paraphrasing 10 kids wrapped into one kid, which is whatever. But that's what they're all saying is that.
Yeah.
So I anticipate from a commitment standpoint, things are going to kind of slow down a little because kids want to take visits. They want to go see people and talk to people, and they're like the rest of us. They've grown weary of lockdowns and pandemics and restrictions. They're sort of ready to talk. But as it pertains to quarterbacks, and this is me sort of cautioning fans, if I'm honest, I'm not sitting here telling you that Ole Miss isn't going to get Arch Manning. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's a lock either. And I can promise you that Lane Kiffin and Jeff Lebby and the people at Ole Miss know it's not a lock. And so one of the things that's going to come here in the next few months, you might tell me about, it's already happening. They're going to offer some other 2023 quarterbacks. They're not going to put all of their eggs in the Arch Manning basket. Now, is Arch Manning going to be priority one? Of course. But there could come a moment where it gets a little interesting. I don't know what Arch Manning's schedule is. I've heard different things. Some people think he's going to commit really early, get it done, that he is smart enough to know and considerate enough to know that a lot of decisions won't happen until he makes his decision, and he'll get that out of the way so that other guys that he's gotten to know through camps and such will make decisions. We'll see. I don't know that. I've heard it. But it's conceivable that Ole Miss, coming off of a really big season next year, where Matt Corral throws for a ton of yards and appears headed to the first round of the NFL draft, it's conceivable that another quarterback not named Arch Manning wants to jump in, and that's going to be this really interesting moment. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. What's most important, and you just talked about it, and I did too, and it's not just quarterback. It's running back. It's wide receiver. It's offensive line. It's everywhere. If Chris Landry and I were doing SEC football and beyond, and Chris, who dives into this stuff a lot more than I ever have the taste to do, broke down every roster, number of 5 stars, number of 4 stars. And you can sit out there and say recruiting doesn't matter. It's fine, whatever, if that makes you feel better. But it's not a coincidence that the most stacked roster was Alabama. The second most stacked roster was Georgia. Then the ones after that were LSU, Florida, Texas A&M. Do you notice a trend?
Ohio State.
Yeah, it was just SEC.
Yeah.
Just in the SEC.
Okay.
Auburn had fallen off. Auburn's roster is not as stacked as you would think it would normally be. Ole Miss's roster was improving. It's all about landing players throughout the roster, building depth at every position. Yeah, you're going to have busts. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have guys jump in the transfer portal. That's going to happen. But you can't let that factor in. You can't build a program by building a season. Does that make sense? There's this tendency on people's part to go, let's build for this season. And that's how you have a program that, frankly, is sort of Ole Miss historically, where it'll have a hot year and then it falls off. Hot year, falls off. What you're trying to do, and I assure you what Kiffin's trying to do at Ole Miss, if you're one who believes that Lane Kiffin is considering staying here long term, and I think it is a consideration, if you believe that, he's trying to build a program to a point where a dip is a minor dip. He's not wanting to do these mountain ranges. That's just doesn't work, and not in this league where you've got a juggernaut to your east, and you've got a program to your south that just is 1 year removed from 15-0 and winning the national title, and you've got Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M who's building a really strong roster. Don't kid yourself. They are building a really strong roster. So the only way to catch those teams is to recruit across the board, and building it. Even Arch Manning, which is about as big a name as Ole Miss could probably ever imagine and make up if it were to make up a name, you can't build a recruiting plan around Arch Manning. That's a mistake, because then if you don't get him, and everyone else is recruiting him too, if you don't get him, your entire plan falls apart in year 3, and that's not how you get it done.
Yeah, I mean, it's long-term versus short-term. I mean, sure, like short-term goals, they're great. They're nice to have, small wins. But as a football coach, long-term, you got to continue to build for something bigger. I mean, Kiffin said as much when he first got to Ole Miss. He said, we're here to win. You know, you saw it in his post-game. Played Alabama closer than anybody in the country. This wasn't some pat everybody on the back, let's high five, and hey, guys, like, I love the effort. Like, no. Like, he was pissed.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, okay, but like, we're not here to play people close. So you got to recruit like that. And I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah, across the board. I mean, you
So, yeah. And look, you can look at the offers. I mean, they've offered, looking at here, 4 other 2023 quarterbacks already. This staff is not going to be caught off guard. They're going to have plan B, plan C. They're not going all in on Arch Manning. Now, like you said, don't kid yourself. He is the number 1 target at quarterback for 2023. There's no hiding that. I don't think
he's a lot of people's top target. And so, you might get him, you might not. And so you have to have other plans, and it's as simple as that. All right, we'll switch gears off quarterbacks and that in a minute. First, I want to tell you that we're also brought to you by Daniel Barfield Wealth Management. They've been serving individuals and businesses in the Oxford and North Mississippi area for more than 20 years. Daniel carries both CFP and CPA designations. He's affiliated with the Advisors Resource Council. It's a registered investment advisory firm with offices in Oxford, New Orleans, Dallas, and the surrounding areas. Get in touch with him at 662-236-6454 or barfieldwealthmanagement.com. We are also brought to you by Bill E's Small Batch Bacon. My friend William Stitt has mastered the art of bacon. He spent 3 decades in the restaurant and hospitality business. Bacon is his absolute passion. He uses bacon selected from the finest hogs, hand-turned every 2 hours in small batches, rubbed with nitrate-free pink curing salt and brown sugar molasses. You've got to check it out. Get in touch with him. It's billysbacon.com. Try it today. Order 5 pounds or more and get Billy's bacon hat. You got to get 5 pounds and enter the promo code Rebel Grove, by the way. Both of those things, 5 pounds, promo code Rebel Grove, you get the Billy's bacon hat. We're also brought to you by Alpha Specialties, located at 1670 Highway 80 in Pearl, Mississippi. They're your trailer-specific professional. They've got Load Trail, the premium brand trailer in the market today. They also have Hallmark cargo trailers, one of the most quality cargo trailers on the market. They've got accessories, a full-service shop, and so much more. Get in touch with them at 601-932-9798 or alphaofms.com. Also brought to you by Jennings Executive Search. They specialize in the recruitment of accounting, finance, strategy, corporate development, and data science professionals from the staff to C-level in all industries. So whether you're a small business owner who needs a finance leader, a work in private equity, or you run a team at a Fortune 500 company, John and his recruitment team will simplify the hiring process by presenting you with a short list of only the most qualified candidates. It's you can reach him on LinkedIn at John Jennings. That's Jon Jennings. You can email him at johnjon@jenningsexec.com, or you can call 404-536-3000. And we're brought to you by Muddy Water Camo. Go to muddywateroutdoors.com. And right now you can get the Tri-Zone heated jacket or vest. Buy one, get one free. Buy a MyCharge portable battery. Buy one, and one of those will hop into your cart as well. Buy one, get one free there at muddywateroutdoors.com and the people at Muddy Water Camo. I know Ole Miss was excited last week, I guess, when they found out Deshaun Ruffin was a McDonald's All-American.
Yeah, first one ever.
Unless he makes a trip to McDonald's, though, that's going to be the extent of it. He doesn't get to play in the game. You're upset about it.
Yeah. Well, as the resident, laid back, live and let live guy, this just doesn't make any sense, Neal. It's stupid. Why are they not playing the game?
Let the record show that it took till February the 26th at 11:36 a.m. Central Standard Time, 12:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for Zach Berry to finally hit the point where he goes, "This is stupid."
It doesn't make any sense. NBA teams are playing in arenas all over the country. College basketball teams are traveling. High school teams are traveling. They're playing in tournaments. They're playing playoffs. They're national. Brendan Huntley Hatfield at Scotland campus. They're playing a national schedule. The IMG Academy is playing a national schedule. I just don't get it. It's just a bummer for Deshaun and everybody else that made the roster. They don't get to play in the game. They don't get to have the opportunity to play, and which is obviously the peak of high school all-star game. That's the pinnacle.
Yep.
The Jordan Brand Classic already said it wasn't playing. I believe Allen Iverson has an all-star game now, and I think they're still planning on doing it in Memphis, I believe. It's just stupid, and it just sucks. Because, look, you want to talk about a recruiting bump. If they play that game and Deshaun goes off for like 20 points on national television, that's huge. Yeah, we don't have to spend too much time on it, but it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. There's no reason they can't play the game. The whole, at some point, I'm hoping people go, okay, we've shown our concern, but there is a year of science now, and we know what we're dealing with. Let's go. But it doesn't appear that we're there yet. It doesn't appear that we're there yet. I'm telling you, I'm not at all convinced that we're there yet. I watched the NCAA push that dead period now back through the end of May. It's a dead period that is now, by the time the end of May expires, the dead period will be 15 months old. That is a lot of recruiting opportunity lost. Mm-hmm. Forget the programs. Forget Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban and Dan Mullen. Those cats make millions of dollars. They get paid to figure it out. I hate it for them, but I don't feel sorry for them. I don't, not even a little bit. You get paid to evaluate film, figure it out. But the kids, I feel sorry for the kids. I do. I feel sorry for the kids. Making kids make decisions and they can't see places, and they can't go talk to people. They got to walk around carrying their stupid phone on a Skype call or a Zoom call or a FaceTime audio, whatever. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's dumb that a kid can walk into Kroger up and down the aisles for an unlimited amount of time. There's no time limit on a visit to Kroger, by the way. If you want to go to Kroger and just walk the aisles, up and down, you can do it all day. I don't think they'll kick you out.
Yeah.
But you can't walk in to the Manning Center and sit down with the coach in an office and have a conversation? That's dumb.
But hell, you don't even have to go inside. Just sit in the parking lot.
But why not? Why can't you go inside? You go to Kroger inside.
Yeah.
I just watched a baseball tournament get played on television that was inside. There was a roof on top of the place. And they played all these games, and people sat around each other, and everybody wasn't wearing a mask. So don't give me the mask thing. Everyone wasn't wearing a mask. I saw someone go, well, everyone was masked. No, they weren't. People were taking their mask off, and people are doing the deal with the water where it takes 2 hours to drink a bottle of water, and it's fine. I don't care. Whatever. You're telling me that a kid can't come take a visit on campus? He can't come to campus? The kid can check into a hotel in Oxford, but he can't check into a hotel in Oxford that's paid for by Ole Miss on an official visit and come over, and he can go to dinner in Oxford, but he can't go to dinner with the coach in Oxford? That's virtue signaling. Yeah. There's no other word for it, and everybody gets mad at me, and they call me Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, and me saying that a kid could be able to take visits does not make me a right-wing lunatic. It just doesn't. Sorry. It doesn't.
Yeah.
That's a rational take, and these young people are having to make decisions, and I'm not convinced yet that on June 1st they're going to go, okay, have camps. I'm not convinced. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that they're going to go, okay, it's July, you can have your Gator barbecue or whatever it is that people call it different places. I'm not convinced that happens. I hope it does, but I'm not convinced. There's some questions in the thread for you here.
All right.
Will P wants to know.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say real quick while you figure out which ones you want to ask. Something that does make sense is Lamar Yard, soon to be the open indoor-outdoor restaurant, bar, and entertainment space on South Lamar. 10,000 square feet of indoor space, 3/4 of an acre of outdoor space, full stage, indoor-outdoor projectors, 3 bars. They're going to have a children's playground. Parking on site. They're going to have legit Texas barbecue. Come and enjoy it with your family and friends. Check them out at lamaryard.com. Earlier, we were talking about long-term versus short-term. Long-term, you can contact Protection Unlimited, the Mid-South's leader in commercial and residential alarm security. Wayne Lowry and his team have been serving the greater Memphis area and North Mississippi area for 40-plus years, and they'd love to get your business. Got cutting-edge security for your home or business, video surveillance, monitoring 24/7, 365. Call them at 901-754-6510 or email them at info@protectionunlimited.com. And Soft Verbal also brought to you by Cherokee Valley Golf Course, Olive Branch, Mississippi. Get on over there, see Cody Allen and the rest of his team. Take on the challenge of their wide, plush Zoysia fairways and large championship Bermuda greens. I plan on getting there hopefully next month. 2 putting greens if you want to hone in your game there. They got a driving range, and they got a chipping green if you want to tighten up the short game. So book a tee time online at olivebranchgolf.com or call them at 901-525-GOLF.
All right, so the question is, let me see if I can find it again. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Aaron Bryant after the UGA and Alabama offers? Bryant, Otis, and Nolan would be an unbelievable haul.
Yeah, Ole Miss got in there first, but everybody else is starting to follow suit. It's an interesting development. He spoke incredibly high on Ole Miss when I talked to him. I guess it was about a month or so ago. We'll see. To some, that first offer, that first Power 5 offer is a big deal. Mm-hmm. His dad's an Ole Miss grad, so he's familiar with Oxford. So there's no, he's been to Oxford. He's seen the campus. He's been to a game. So there's no worry about, well, he can't take a visit, so he hasn't seen it. He's been there. So we'll see. He's planning on committing, I believe, in the summer on his birthday. I can't remember the actual date, but he has a date set. So we'll see. But Randall Joyner, the new D-line coach, has been in touch with him. They're building a relationship, and Derek Nix has been recruiting him as well. Kevin Smith kind of operates in the Memphis area, so they're certainly he's high on the board. But yeah, I mean, just kind of further proves the evaluation that the Ole Miss staff made on him.
Hunter Ross is asking, still hoping Brakefield comes back and joins Ruffin. I guess that's not a question; it's a comment. I think the Brakefield conversation is going to happen again in the spring, but we'll see. We'll see. It'll.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving pieces to that. What does he want to do? What does Ole Miss want? What does Duke want? And I don't know.
Right.
I think I know the answer to one of those three things, and not knowing the other two things, it makes it really hard to dive in on that. Killicam says, "What about Ben Davis as a grad transfer inside linebacker?" You and I talked about that the other day when I was out walking the dogs. We were talking about something else. We talked about Davis. I think if Ole Miss takes him, and I think you do too, it's going to be because they think he can help them off the edge. Everything I hear is that they want to get, with this last grad transfer spot, they really want somebody who can be an edge player, who can come off the edge and impact games the way that Alabama and Georgia players impact games with these athletic edge guys.
Oh. Yeah, he's certainly big enough. He's 250 plus. I think he be a factor off the edge. I believe Rivals said the other day, and kind of who he's been hearing from. It's a mix of Power 5, kind of all over the place. I hadn't heard much on him. You know, it's hard to get a feel for things, just mostly because of, you know, kids want to talk, especially a grad transfer like him. And then, you know, it's kind of hard to see what these kids are kind of, you know, where they're leaning, what they're thinking, because they can't go anywhere. So, you know, he's got one year of eligibility as a grad transfer, so he's going to try to make it count so he can get to the NFL. There's some, you know, connection there. Kiffin was on the Alabama staff when he signed with them in 2016, so, you know, he could reach out and see if he's interested. But yeah, I mean, if they did recruit him and ultimately get him to transfer to Ole Miss, it would be as an edge guy.
Hunter Ross says, "Is Branson Robinson a priority at running back, as Ely could go pro after next season?" I'll tell you the second part of that. I will be shocked if Jerrion Ely does not go pro after next season. Stunned.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a bold take. I think Ely's future is in football.
Well,
I know he loves baseball, and
clearly does too.
But
the fact that he went out and got the surgery and missed the baseball season tells you that he's realizing that the money for him is in football, and he can always sign, and I suspect he will sign, some sort of a baseball contract with somebody where a team will have his rights, and if he decides, at the age of 25 or 26, that, hey, you know what, I don't want to do this football thing anymore. I've got my money. I'm going to go play baseball. He could do that, or he could go do. I mean, Russell Wilson went to spring ball with, was it the Rangers, with the Texas Rangers for years. You can.
AJ Brown had a similar kind of package.
His deal was in college. Yeah, Russell Wilson, even when he was the starting quarterback of the Seahawks, would go to spring training and play. So there's paths to do both, but the fact that he went ahead and had the cleanup surgeries this spring tells you where his mind is right now.
I think Kevin Smith had to sit down with him. I don't know that for a fact, but I know that Kevin Smith is very high on Jerrion Ely and thinks that he can play at the next level, at a high level.
So what about Branson Robinson?
You know, he's from Germantown in Madison, that figuratively blew up. Offers from everybody, Alabama, Georgia. I've been told Georgia wants him really bad. Oregon's offered him. You got the connection with Joe Moorhead. Ole Miss is certainly recruiting him, but I mean, one of those Arch Manning situations where everybody wants him. So yeah, I mean, he's a priority for sure, but it's going to be tough to be able to reel him in. I will tell you something that's not tough, and that's getting some outstanding cuisine from Kelly English and his restaurant group. The renowned chef and his team are now offering nationwide shipping. Go to table22.com/Iris. You can book virtual cooking classes, and they have wild game cooking programs, Cooking with Kelly. The nationwide shipping, irisetc.com. They can ship it anywhere. And then you can find any more information about him and the rest of his restaurants, Second Line, Restaurant Iris, Fino's, and then a Magnolia House down on the coast at chefkellyenglish.com. Also brought to you by Bluff City Advisory Group, Memphis's leading team of finance professionals. They can provide you advanced assistance with financial, pension, and qualified plan support, and business and estate planning strategies. Former Ole Miss Rebel and founding partner Ben Steele. He and his team make it their goal to help you meet the ongoing demands of your financial needs. Find more at bluffcityadvisory.com. Branson Robinson's going to be tough. Like I said, lots and lots of people want him. I would probably say Georgia and Alabama are out front right now. Um, he's going to be a priority, but it's going to be tough.
As LA Dying says, how many defensive linemen do you think Ole Miss takes in this class? My answer is as many as they can get.
Yeah. Upwards 4 or 5 if they can. I mean, they're
take as many
some
as
really good players inside the state. Yeah, you got to build.
You'd sacrifice a wide receiver or a DB to take another defensive lineman. It's as simple as that. They're so hard to get.
Oh, absolutely.
They're premium, the whole deal. Clark Campbell says, "Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead."
Well, I was going to say, I mean, they signed, I think, 7 defensive backs in 2021, so they've got some leeway there. And then you got 3 to 4 impact defensive linemen that you think are going to start playing in 2021. So, yeah, I mean, that's another thing that I think every single class, you've got to get as many defensive linemen that you think can compete in every class.
And, hey, in this class, they got to start adding some offensive linemen. They got to start adding some offensive linemen that they think can impact the program. I think that's a little secret there that I think people kind of gloss over is that I think there is some concern not about the quantity but about the quality of offensive linemen that are on the roster. They're not enough impact guys up front. Off topic, but I'll answer it. Clark Campbell says, Neal, if KB, referring to Chris Bryant, or Anthony Rizzo leave Chicago either this season or next, what is jersey protocol? Trash or keep? For I have 2 KB jerseys. All right, so anytime that you have players that were legendary, it sort of depends on how they leave. So if Chris Bryant gets traded, you have a soft spot for Chris Bryant, and you keep the jerseys. If Chris Bryant shuns your offer and leaves via free agency, you have to put the jersey away until his career is over.
Really?
Yes, that's the way it works. You can't be a Thunder fan wearing Kevin Durant jerseys. You can still be a Thunder fan and wear a Russell Westbrook jersey. It's the way they left. It's all about the way they left. And if you're the Cubs, if you're the Cubs, Anthony Rizzo has to get re-signed because he's sort of this generation's Ernie Banks. I think you have to re-sign Chris Bryant because I think he wants to stay. But there is something to the optics of how that goes. If Chris Bryant and the Cubs one day want to be reunited at the end of his career, I do think managing the way this happens if he leaves is imperative. It's important. There are something to optics, the way that you leave a franchise or whatever.
Trash it.
Lost you there. Say it again.
I'll say I wouldn't. You don't have to trash it. I would never trash a jersey. You just put it away in the closet.
Yeah,
you don't,
don't throw it away. You don't burn it or anything. Just put it away. Yeah. Although
Carson still got a Mariota Titans jersey in the closet.
Oh, Carson will not.
I don't wear it, but
Carson's Kevin Durant jerseys disappeared. I don't know what happened to them, but they're gone.
Does he have a Kevin Durant Sonics jersey?
No, he's.
You got to find him one of those.
He's just now softening to the idea of Kevin Durant as a human being, I think.
Well, I guess I should clarify. Does Carson know who the Seattle Sonics are?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He knows all that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He knows he's starting to catch up on his NBA history. He gets a little shy on the show and gets kind of quiet. We're working through that. I keep reminding myself that when I was 14, if you'd put me on a show every week, I'd have been a little shy and quiet too, probably.
Hey. Speak softly, carry a big stick, all right?
Yeah, I guess so. As LA Dying says, who's the most critical recruit in this class for Ole Miss, in your opinion? What recruit can start the massive national class momentum?
Probably one of the highly rated in-state guys, I think. Not that everyone would just follow in mass, but somebody like Kamari Rogers, Jaheim Otis, Xavier Harris, Bryson Hurst. I think Hurst is a key. You mentioned the O-line depth and how it's a little more quantity than quality. I think if they could get Bryson Hurst early, that would help, especially, having some success down the coast. They were able to get Elijah Sabatini in last year's class. I think that would be big and kind of expanding the network in the state, if you will. Obviously, Walter Nolan would be huge. I know he didn't include Ole Miss in the top 10. I still think that they're going to continue to recruit him no matter what. And that top schools list is probably going to fluctuate several times, and nobody's going to stop recruiting that kid. I mean, we talked about Wimsat or, Drew Alar. I mean, you get a quarterback. I mean, that's always huge to get a quarterback early. And, they typically have coattails, and not just because, oh, he went to Ole Miss, so I want to go there now. No, like, people just like seeing highly rated good quarterbacks go to a recruiting class. That's just kind of one of those things where they're like, oh, okay, the 60th ranked guy in the country is going to Ole Miss. Like, I need to take a look at them. So they're recruiting everywhere. There's some Texas names, some Texas recruits out there that would make a splash. But, I don't really know. It's kind of hard because, the package deal thing is hardly ever a thing. The following one guy like that hardly ever happens with multiple recruits. So it's hard to pinpoint which one's the most important. But the depth of the Mississippi class in 2022, I think, is something that this staff is, I wouldn't say focused on, but I think they have 3 or 4 guys inside Mississippi that they really want.
Yeah, I agree with that. Speaking of jerseys, by the way, and branding and stuff, you tried to set the world on fire the other day on rebelgrove.com. You made a post with a link to a Twitter post that had been made. You're trying to get Ole Miss to change its name. You're trying to get Ole Miss to change its mascot. You're hey, look at this, and the reaction was visceral. And my
political agenda was snuffed out really quick.
You pretended to be shocked, but you had to know that was coming.
Well, in fairness, we were recording a show last night, and I did it while we were recording. So I just kind of threw it up there because I was like, oh, this is cool. So, yeah, it's just a fan concept. It's not somebody that the university hired to do something. But look, I mean, I went through the yearbooks. They have them all online in the archives. And I went through the years when they were the Flood and tried to find some kind of logo. Because, I mean, I think that would be awesome if they had something that could be a throwback. I mean, not even on a jersey or changing a name, just like selling merch. I think that would be awesome. And that's kind of what this guy was doing. He was like, hey, man, I just thought it'd be fun to design something and, sell some stickers and some shirts. And if it takes off, I'll make some hats and some polos. I know you're a proponent of the Flood. And look, I love the idea of a Muddy the Catfish. Like, that's cool.
Don't you steal my idea.
No, I won't. But I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I think that's a cool Mississippi-centric idea that, I mean, look, it's a mascot. Mascots are supposed to be dumb. I mean, one of the most popular mascots in the country is freaking Big Red at Western Kentucky. He's just I don't even know what he is.
He's a nothing. He's a red blob.
Yeah, I mean, like that. You got the Stanford tree that's just some dude in a costume with, stuff hanging all over the tree. I mean, mascots are just supposed to be silly, and I apologize to everyone. And the intent was not to get rid of Ole Miss. Like, we talked about that before we started. I don't think they're ever going to do that. I don't think people need to worry.
They've got way too much money and signage and everything, marketing, everything invested in the moniker Ole Miss. In fact, they actively tell media that they don't want to be called Mississippi. They want to be called Ole Miss. Yeah. Now,
there's literally a quote, a massive quote on the wall in the Union that Frankie Everett said about, there's a difference between Ole Miss and the University of Mississippi. Like, Rebels, who knows? Maybe it goes away in 50 years, whatever. I don't think anybody's actively pitchforking to get Ole Miss gone.
Yeah, I don't know. No one's. I'm with you. If you told me that one disappears, I would tell you it was Rebels. If you told me that both disappeared, I'd be shocked. I don't think Ole Miss is going anywhere. The Rebels thing, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, would I bet against it disappearing? I wouldn't. I mean, at some point in public relations and stuff like that, you get to a place where you have to ask yourself, is the trouble worth it? And I don't know the answer. It would be very difficult to be offended by the flood. And, and Ole Miss has been searching for a mascot for a long time, and they're not going back to Colonel Rebel, that's for sure. And they ran off Rebel the Bear. They sold him off to Lipscomb or somebody. And I
think it was Renault Ryan?
Maybe
Lenore Ryan.
Somebody. But he's gone. He's off. He transferred to
gone forever.
Transferred down to another level, and I don't know whether
got to the portal.
I don't know. Yeah, he went in the portal, and he's gone. I don't know whether he's thriving or not. And now you have this stupid shark that's just an embarrassment, and I've heard rumors that they're going to a fuzzy shark, that they were trying to sort of introduce a fuzzy shark last year before the pandemic hit. So maybe they'll break out a fuzzy shark this year that excites people.
Why don't they try to get the licensing to Street Sharks? Do you remember that cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Just have a bunch of dudes in shark costumes rollerblading around the Grove. Just throw a jersey on them. There you go.
Are you old enough to remember the Laugh Olympics?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so when I was a little kid, I loved the Laugh Olympics. They had 3 teams. They had the Really Rottens, and basically it was all the characters from Saturday morning cartoons, and they had them in 3 teams. Okay. And one of the teams had, what's his name, Jabberhead the shark or whatever.
Oh, Jabberjaw.
So
yeah.
Jabberjaw was on. So I've always thought, if you're going to do the shark thing, why don't you basically just create a cartoon shark like Jabberjaw and let him run around and be funny, and kids will come up and get their pictures taken with him, and that's really what it's for.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like my catfish idea, and
I think it's great.
But,
and look, I don't think Ole Miss is disappearing. Another thing that I know is not disappearing is real estate. And the podcast is also brought to you by the Berry Home Team. Stacy and Rick Berry have affiliated themselves with Keller Williams Realty to provide superior customer service to their clients. So if you're looking to unlock Memphis or the surrounding area, Stacy and Rick will partner with you to make sure your home buying or selling experience is seamless. Contact them. You can find them on Instagram at the Berry Home Team or call them at 901-481-6420. And after you do that, go ahead and give a call to Saddle Creek Title, the Mid-South's leader in client-focused, innovative closing solutions. Neal Hanna and his team are more than just a real estate closing firm. They are dedicated to going the distance to ensure the ease and growth of your real estate business. Find more information at saddlecreektitle.com. Podcast also brought to you by Transamerica Insurance, rated best term life insurance company in 2020 by Forbes. They offer 10, 20, and 30-year 30-year term life insurance catered to your individual needs. Call Drew Moak at 601-953-8449. He's licensed in Mississippi, Tennessee, and Texas, among others, and he can help you get started today. Also, Davis McCord State Farm. Where can you get good neighbor service and surprisingly great insurance rates? Look no further than Davis McCord. He's your one-stop shop in Tennessee and Mississippi for the service you deserve at the price you want. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call him at 901-755-6110.
All right, last thing, you were talking about. We were talking about uniforms the other day. You were talking about powder blues.
I love talking uniforms.
We won't spend much time on it because we're about done. The Cubs tweeted out a thing yesterday. I think it was yesterday about uniforms. Like, which one do you like the most? And the Cubs have this powder blue suit with the navy blue pins. Mm-hmm. And it's powder, and they don't have much red in it at all. It's powder and navy, and I think it's fantastic. I tweeted at the Cubs, you should make that your permanent road uniform. I would kill for that to be their road uniform. So you have this idea about sort of an homage to the Montreal Expos, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Oh, I just pulled up the Cubs uniform. Yeah, that looks cool.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's really sharp. I love the old Cubs bear head logo too. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a cool thing for the Major League Baseball does a lot of themed things throughout the season. They pay homage to the troops. Latin America with all the the influence of Latin American players in the game. They do all sorts of things. I think it'd be cool to, because I don't think the Expos are coming back. But the Expos had fantastic powder blue uniforms back in the day. I think it'd be cool for everybody to kind of do a powder blue uniform if they could. I mean, I don't know if you want to really push forward if it's, if it doesn't work. I mean, I don't know how the White Sox would do a powder blue uniform, but for those that have some kind of blue in their color wheel, I think it'd be cool. I mean, the Cardinals are kind of the original inspiration for the Ole Miss uniforms, but they have one. The Royals had some really good ones back in the day.
The Phillies had a great one that they still wear a lot.
Oh,
yeah. The Philly powder blue is sneaky awesome.
That old P logo on the chest is really strong.
I'm looking at it right now. It is a great uniform. I mean, it is fantastic. I'll tell you who else has a great powder blue throwback. The Minnesota Twins.
Okay.
Excellent.
I thought that one is very good. I'm kind of looking at some here now. Blue Jays obviously have a good one.
The Royals. The Royals is great.
Yeah. I bet you could do something really cool with the Brewers.
They do have one, don't they?
Do they not?
I think they do. I think they do, yeah. The Rangers have a really good one right now.
Yeah.
It's excellent. There's Minnesota's again. Toronto has that one that they wore forever and ever and ever that looks great.
The Rays, they don't have a complete uniform, I don't think. They have just the top that looks good.
I stand corrected on Milwaukee. I don't think they do.
Oh, okay.
They should.
Unless you're right. Yeah, they absolutely should. The Rangers is really good with the script Rangers across the chest. That's pretty sharp. The Mariners had some back in the day with the yellow Seattle across the front.
Yeah. That Twins one, though, wow.
It's great.
And the Expos old powder blue jersey is just fantastic.
I had an Expos hat, the white front. I just thought it was an awesome hat and got it back in the day. I don't know where it is, but the Braves had a powder blue one back in the day too.
The Brewers do have a powder blue, by the way. It's the V-neck. It just says Brewers across the front. It's okay. It's okay.
V-necks.
And they also have one that has Milwaukee in cursive across the front. Everybody should make that a part of their deal. It just looks like baseball.
Yeah, it just looks cool.
Yeah,
I think that would be a good idea.
One, I want the Twins one. The more I look at it, I need to get away from it before I accidentally make an impulse buy on a jersey that will hang in my office forever. All right, we'll stop there, and appreciate everybody in the live stream. I'll put this up in podcast form here in a little bit. Appreciate you all being with us. Again, our thanks to the people at the College Corner for making this show possible. It's collegecornerstore.com, the largest selection of Rebel gear in Central Mississippi. For Zach Berry, I'm Neal McCready. We'll be back next week with another edition of the Soft Verbal Podcast. Until then, have a great weekend. Take care.